All right, welcome back to another episode of Small Guys Podcast. Today we are reviewing Fast X with special guest Spencer. It's just me, Brian, and Spencer here today. The Fast Guys. Before
The family, if you will.
the family. Before getting started, we have our first sponsor. Another podcast reached out to us, gave us a bag. Yep. It's called Brian's Corner. Brian, do you want to explain?
Yeah,
it's a really good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so this
pretty big
guy,
bag from
Brian, he just runs his mouth, but he has some good points sometimes. So they gave him a whole podcast, and like Josh said, Brian's Corner, come check it out. Basically, what we want to do with it, I love games, I love music, I love bullshitting with my friends, and we're just going to incorporate all of those into that. I think we made a split decision as well. Since Small Guys is just a movie podcast, I also watch a shit ton of TV shows, and there's just a lot that we want to talk about. So eventually we will get episodes down to talking about ranking movies, probably stuff that we can't do on here, and then as well as, like I said, a lot of shit about TV shows as those keep coming out. Obviously, the big ones, like you saw us cover Stranger Things or Atlanta on here. Those big ones will stay over here on Small Guys, but for ones that I take near and dear to my heart, those will be over on Brian's Corner. But I think we decided we're going to drop every other Thursday, just so that way it's not me just trying to come up with a topic. I want them to actually be fun. And the best thing about it, it'll be a smaller group like this. I think at most I just want to do me and two other people. That way we can actually have it like an open conversation. Not saying that we don't have great conversations with Small Guys, but we all know how those get sometimes, a little too hectic. But yes, make sure to check that out. I'm excited to see how that goes. I mean, it could get fucking 10 viewers a week and I'd still be happy. So, yeah, keep your eye out for that. We got exciting things to come.
Yeah, and by the time this comes out on Friday, the first episode will be out.
Yes, it will. The first episode.
So go check that out.
Thursdays.
Yep. So I was lucky enough to be on there, and I think Spencer will be on there soon. So
he will.
No, it's very exciting. Yeah. So, but yeah, let's get into the movie here. Let me read the synopsis here. Description: Dom Toretto and his family are targeted by the vengeful son of drug kingpin Hernan Reyes from Fast Five. This movie has a 54% critic score, but an 85% audience score. Most of them kind of have a low critic score. I went and looked. I'm pretty sure ever since Fast 7, or Furious 7 rather, they've all made like $1 billion, and this one is on track too. So they all just print money. Yep. Yeah. So what did you guys? And we're just gonna say this. This is primarily a Fast 10 review, but we will obviously be talking about the other ones.
Yeah,
of course, they're going to come up.
I'm glad that he said that. Me and Spencer have probably watched the first 4 at least like 20 times a pop. So don't be surprised. We're going to make references to those throughout the whole fucking episode just because they're fucking gold, dude. That second one is one of the best movies ever fucking made.
I can say name.
Too Fast?
Dude. Oh, my God. No, all these movies are just fucking fun. And I think that's what everyone fucking forgets. I think everyone forgets that when you're going to the movie, it doesn't have to be you're sitting down and getting this epic tale told in front of you. Instead, it's like, yo, we started off stealing DVD players. Let's go to fucking space in the 9th one. Like, amazing.
And that's the key before we even get going. If you're sitting down to watch these Fast and Furious movies, you got to go into it with an open mind, basically like it's John Wick. This is an alternate reality. These things aren't supposed to, like, we're not listening to the laws of physics here, all right? We're having some fun, okay?
And I'm glad you said that.
Fine. That's how we're going to be ranking this.
I'm glad that you said that because the 9th one, I just watched that for the first time to get ready for 10. Scheduling conflict, me and Spencer couldn't make it to the theater last year, 2 years ago, whenever the fuck that came out. But the 9th one made jokes about how they deny all laws of physics, and that basically that they are invincible. And they're like, well, what's the little hypothesis testing and stuff? And Ludacris is like, well, if you think about it, the same inevitability is just like we live through everything. So they're kind of making fun of themselves.
Talking about how his jacket's clean, no scars from anything that they've done. And these things, they should be losing limbs and lives like left and right here, but they're not. So they set it themselves in what is it? Fate of the Furious? Is that the 9th one?
Yeah, Fate. That's 8.
No, that was 8. 9 was just
Yeah.
Fast Saga.
F9. F9
F9,
technically.
yeah.
Yeah.
In F9, they basically give you the rundown of the whole series. They're invincible, and that's what it is.
And then they ended by
Yeah.
going to space. Like, way to do it. So then
Accept that, and you're gonna love these movies.
you jump
That's
into this one, and as soon as I saw the car drifting, I was like, "That's got to be Lil Dom, right?" And of course,
Totally.
an aggressive age progression. Dude
Yeah.
is like 12 years old now. You're like, "All right."
Yeah, a little time jump there.
Just a little bit.
And I think they said this is the first movie of the final trilogy, so we're getting
Yeah, I was
two more
gonna
at
say
least.
they broke these into 3, right?
Yeah. And then 2, obviously they I mean, we'll mention it later, but they obviously set up a Hobbs and Shaw 2 or something in this
Oh,
movie. So
totally.
yeah, so we're going to keep getting Fast and Furious movies,
And you know what?
whether Dom is in it or
My
not. So.
ass will, I can't say we'll be in the theater to watch it, but I will fucking watch it at some point.
Oh yeah,
Well, wait, did you guys see Hobbs and Shaw or no?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Spencer, I feel like we watched it at your house because I know I watched it, and I know
I
I
liked
did
it.
not watch it by myself.
Yeah, I didn't mind it at all. But another thing where they're defying physics with
Yeah.
The Rock going full Captain America and holding a helicopter just as brute strength.
Or when they jump out that window
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that wire.
No,
Yeah.
totally.
Oh my god! But yeah, so I mean, now that we have all those cards laid out, you get to this movie, and Jason Momoa's got range, dude. Like that's my fucking
Oh my gosh.
Aquaman. This one,
Is he
someone
the best villain in all of Fast and Furious? I think he's the best villain. in
he
all of
might
Fast.
be, dude. And like someone prior to me seeing this was like, "Oh, I heard like he's gonna be like the Fast and Furious Joker," and I was like, "What the fuck does that even mean?" And then you
Yeah.
watch this movie, and you're like, "Yeah, he's the Fast and Furious Joker."
100%. You like completely thought out plans, but making it look like it's all just off the cuff.
Yep.
You know, he's sitting on the top of the building, like, "Oh, what do you want to blow up? Oh, Vatican, you're a menace." Like his henchmen didn't even say anything. Like,
He
oh,
goes, "You guys are going to hell."
well,
Well, it's funny how he even took them. He goes, "I need the nerds to help run these," and they get in the elevator, and he goes, "Remember, I will kill your families if you don't come with me."
he's a tank, dude. Great villain. All right.
Yeah, so
Hard
do you
to
guys
tell.
think it's weird that it took him kind of 10 years to try to get revenge, or do you think that makes sense in the story?
I mean, it makes sense in the story. 10 years. I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
I am interested to know what the fuck he was doing. If he was so broke, apparently, but also he wasn't broke.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and it
really-
wasn't like he was a little kid or anything. And from what we see
Yeah.
in the flashback, he's a
Uh-huh.
full-grown adult. So
Dude, I
But
want
that's the only thing that I would say is, I mean, they robbed all of their stash houses, they crippled their entire cartel business, and he stole all of his money and
Mhm.
killed his father. So I think 10 years might actually like make sense for him to kind of like get set up. And you saw his deep dark vision board, like he said to Dom, with getting all of their surveillance on all of the family. I think that might take 10 years, so I didn't mind that part. And I think just the way that he played it, he looks like he's having the time of his life in this role. And that just, I'm a sucker for that. If somebody's having fun in the role, it just makes the movie
Dude,
so much
it cuts. We're taking a little jump here, but the two nerds that he takes from the beginning, and when it cuts and he's painting his fucking nails, he's like,
Yeah.
Oh my
pastel
God.
looks good. Like, it gets rid of some of that toxic masculinity. We could all use a little less toxic masculinity. And you look, and it's just two dead bodies that he taped the eyes open to hang out
Yeah.
with.
What did he say? He said, hang tight, finish your mimosa, and somebody's going to be around to bury you.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is like just a psychopath, man.
I want to make note though, because I was cracking up. Now, mind you, I went and saw this in the theater by myself, and there was like maybe
Yeah,
8
me
other
too.
people in the whole thing.
10
And I-
a.m., sure.
Dude, I was having a ball in that bitch, but like I was cracking up at the beginning, and well, I guess there's another thing too. They were really good about if you hadn't seen the other things, which I don't know how you could sit down for the 10th one and not see all the other ones. Whatever. But they were doing all those flashbacks and shit. But Fast and Furious loves to like take a normal shot like from the original movie, and then they just expand it just a little bit more, and there's a character
Yep.
in the shadows, bro. They
Totally.
did that shit in like
Yeah.
3 different movies now. Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
because 9 they did the thing with Han where Han's dead in Tokyo Drift, but Mr. Nobody swiped him up, took him out.
Yep, and
Yeah.
then they show him looking at the crash, and Mr. Nobody's like, "All right, this is the hard part. Keep it dead." All right, so
Oh,
here's a
that's funny.
question for that. You guys think Mr. Nobody's still out there kicking?
A part of me almost feels like what's Jason Momoa's character's name again?
Dion.
Dante.
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 I almost feel like Dante hunted him down and fucking killed him.
Yeah.
Maybe I wish they would have shown it. I don't know. Like I don't know if Kurt Russell just doesn't want to be in them anymore, or if they're saving him to come back. You know, like I don't know. They mentioned him so many times that I feel like he has to come back.
That's what I'm saying. And they
you
mentioned it in a way to where like nobody really knows if he's dead.
Yeah, or maybe
Yeah.
it alludes to like Dante has him in captivity and like he was
That's-
able to find
that's
him
also a
and
possibility,
use
yeah.
Mr. Nobody's power to get to the family. And also then that would explain why Thad Castle was a fucking asshole and able to get to the
Yep.
agency. Which also
So
I texted Josh, and I'm so glad, Spencer. We were basically sending similar texts. I was texting Josh while I was sitting there by myself, and I go, Thad Castle, LMFAO. Like, no way.
By the way, viewers, I was live tweeting this or live texting this to Brian and Josh while I was seeing it. The entire
Yeah,
time.
you
I
were
think
sending.
about 30 messages.
Yeah, you guys were both sending me similar texts, and it's funny because I had just seen it before, like Brian too. So like I knew exactly what scenes were next, and
Yep.
Mhm.
you know when he was going to text me. So
You were totally
but-
leading me on there, Josh.
yeah. I had to lie to Brian a couple times too.
That
But,
you did.
Yeah, I because I wanted you guys to be surprised and stuff, and to see what your reactions would be. But what did you guys think of like the beginning? I really like how the movie opens because Fast Five is my favorite. I think so.
Me
Like
too.
with them showing like, and you get a little like Paul Walker too, right? Like so it's kind of nice to see where they were and like Dante's perspective, right? I think that was pretty cool. I'll have to go back and watch Fast Five and see when that like truck got thrown over. Obviously, Jason Momoa's not in there, but like to see the guy get flung over would be kind of funny.
Yeah,
So
they
yeah,
show, like,
and
some
it's funny
character
because like I said, or maybe I didn't say, but I rewatched all of these leading into this just so I could be fresh for it.
I did as
But
well,
I
yeah.
started at 4 though because again, 1 through 3 I've seen fucking billions of times at this point. Could quote the whole
Yeah.
goddamn movie at this point. But like 5 again was like okay, like this is where they get the shmoney. That's hype. And then I think you had said, Josh, before this came out, you're like, oh, you really just need to see 5 and you're good. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I saw what they did, and I was like, no way. And I did think about it. I was like, did you even see a car get launched, but not only get launched and someone just jump out? Because if they did that, that foreshadowing would be fucking crazy. But I feel like they
it's
did
some
not
Marvel-
have the
it's some
fucking
Marvel
range.
foreshadowing there.
yeah.
But they did close enough because there was a car. I mean, they did show a car
Yeah.
get smashed, over top of Reyes's car. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Now,
They did
I have
a good job.
I have a question since we're going to talk about the beginning here, and this might be a little ignorant. I thought Dom was fucking Italian. Is Dom Italian or is he Mexican?
No, he's Dominican.
He's Dominican?
Mhm.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. That's why they always go to the DR and stuff. And,
All right, now that makes more
you
sense.
saw
I
Han
was so
when they were in the
confused.
garage, Han and Dominic, when they were in the garage, Han was talking. We've come a long way from boosting cars in the DR.
Yeah, but I thought they were just alluding to the 4th one where they were stealing the fucking gas.
No.
All right,
So, like,
all right,
they're
that makes more
actually
sense.
doing it.
Because when fucking 9 started, I saw that flashback and I go, wait, are they just not like a white Italian family? Like, I was so confused. And then in this
No.
one, they called the great grandma the great abuelita, and I was like, wait, I called my grandma abuelita, or like a form of that, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I thought these were just pasty whites the whole time. And then that
Brian,
thing too.
Why do you think they speak Spanish and drink Corona? in
I
every single movie?
was so confused. I missed that whole thing. So many times I've seen this movie, he's just went whoop.
That's funny.
That
Yeah,
is-
so thank you for explaining that to me because I went to work and I said that at work, and even my manager was like, "What are you talking about? They're fucking Italians." And I go, "I don't think they are, dude."
Is this
Yeah.
the first movie where there isn't like a happy ending family gathering? Like
well,
where
this
it-
is the first part of 3, so
yeah. So this is like the first one where we actually get like a little
yeah,
bit
this
of-
is their
Cliffhanger,
Infinity
yeah.
War.
Yeah. And then what did you guys think too? Because I know you just watched Nine for the first time. What did you guys think of like, Charlize Theron, like Cypher coming to their door at the beginning of the movie to start this one?
Yeah, that was
Wounded.
pretty fucking cool. Because it's
Mhm.
full
Yeah,
circle, and then we watched Letty beat the shit out of her, and that was hype. But then they teamed up either like anyway, so it's like okay.
Yeah, that whole fight scene was kind of pointless.
I wish I got up to pee, dude. I had to pee for the first 10 minutes. I was like, I know one of these fight scenes are going to be bad, but which one is it? And it was totally that one.
I liked it. It still shows that they're not friends, but then it shows that, you know, they're teaming up out of necessity and not out of like a want to do so.
Yeah. Fair.
So, so it doesn't erase all the stuff from the last movie.
Totally, yeah, and that's kind of what it was. That's why I liked when Han went and saw Jason Statham's character when he went and saw Deckard. Like, you tried to kill me, man, but we need your help,
dude.
I don't want to fight you, but we do need your help. So I thought that was
scene though, right when it wraps up and the dude gets out of the bag and Rome just goes, I can understand all of this, and it's just people littered all over the floor, like blood everywhere. Well, not blood because PG-13, but you know, like that's how it would look. But he goes, but what the hell was that? It was just the dude.
Bag was an actual person.
Yeah, dude. He gets out in his underwear, and then I love too. You see him in the little window going up the stairs, running away.
So back to John, I mean, I thought the beginning was really. I thought this was a really good intro.
Yeah,
I mean, it started off just like the first one with them doing like the first one was Brian, you know, tuning up his car to go race Dom.
Mm-hmm.
This one was Dom teaching his son, and then it gets into the story, and it's Charlize Theron from the last one, just like, hey, like this guy's coming after us, and he's a fucking maniac.
Yeah. Did you think it was weird though?
Had a good premise for the rest of the movie.
Did you think it was weird though that they brought in the Abuelita just to like do nothing? Like, she just kind of showed up and was like, let's eat, and then told Dom, like, your dad would be proud of you, and then dipped. Like, I thought she totally was going to take the kid and be, like, a badass or something. Like, I didn't know that it was going to go on the route of John Cena coming in to save the son. / his nephew.
Yeah, I thought that was neat that she was never mentioned, but, I mean, other than that, I mean, you got to introduce a character somehow.
Yeah, and I thought...
that's the thing, though, introducing her for what? Like, that's why I thought, like, maybe
you could make the connections... You could make the connections with Dante and his father, like, a parent role. You know, him losing a parent and making that connection. And then, too, it's a way to give them, like, one more final, like, you know, cookout or family gathering right before, you know, shit hits the fan. And obviously the cliffhanger at the end. But, like, you know.
Now, this is another question, and it goes for the whole Fast world. How many times have they fucking rebuilt this house now? Like when they rebuild it again after this movie, because they have to, this will be like, what, 4 or 5, 10 movies in, half the time their house is either getting blown up, shot up, or fucking getting raided by the military.
I think it was only blown up the one time, but they definitely had some serious renovations throughout the years.
And then on top of this, additionally, even more times than the house getting fucked, how many times has the fucking necklace just been handed off, like the cross? That thing's passed around person to person. That shit went to Tokyo and back.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, dude. I was trying to count it, and it's like I can't even keep track anymore. Because especially in like the 5th one, where Letty's dead and they're in Brazil, and he just gives it away willy nilly to that fucking cop who later became, you know, Lil Brian's mom. But like he just gave it to her. He like just met her. And it's like, what is this?
She found it on the street when he was running from Hobbs, and then he took it from her.
Oh, that's right. He went back for it. But didn't he give it back to her, and then she had it in the 6th one, and then was like, Dom, and then she took it off and handed it to him?
I think that happened, and then it also where he left it on the airplane as a tracking device for Deckard Shaw to...
Oh, yeah, I forgot it was a tracking device.
That's the thing, too. They don't even allude to it being a tracking device throughout this whole fucking movie. Like,
well, no, it was only a tracking device in that one movie.
Brie Larson took it to that secret base, and they couldn't have been like, "Hey, turn on that tracking chip I had you put in that fucking cross."
Well, Letty has it now, right? Or did it work all the way back to Dom?
Did they give it to the son? No,
maybe Brie Larson gives it to him on the bridge
because Letty didn't link back up. Yeah, so Letty has it now.
I thought she just showed it to her. Okay, maybe she.
Yeah, no, she just showed it to her. She showed it.
Oh,
to her
she just showed it to her.
I think she gave it back to Dom on the bridge. Yeah,
yeah, on the bridge that they killed Reyes.
So then, does that mean does the son have it then? No way, Dom held on to it.
Right, Dom had
that fucker can't hold it in his hands for longer than 10 minutes.
No, the dam's gonna take it now. Yeah, I want to talk about too the whole Rome scene. You know, with the ball Yeah. So what did you guys think of like all
It's
that?
Rome's mission in Rome. It's meant to be.
Yeah,
It's meant to be.
I loved the kind of like the nod to Raiders with that whole Letty riding the motorcycle downhill and the ball chasing her.
Yeah.
Like that was complete out of Raiders: The Lost Ark, like one of the greatest movies ever made, and I loved that.
Yeah. That was a cool callback.
I think that was a great way to honestly that just introduced Dante's like his whole ability to plan ahead and stuff, how he acted as the agency and got them to Rome, and that was a way to kind of pull Dom and Letty out of the shadows because they were onto him that he was kind of leading them on and leading them into a bad situation. That's why they went to
Yeah,
Rome.
because Little Nobody actually stepped the fuck up in this movie. Since Big Nobody was going.
He did really well.
Mm-hmm.
You can see his evolution from being thrown against the wall by Hobbs to actually
I do love when they break him though. Is that the 8th movie where they break him? Yeah, it's the 8th one. He goes, you know what? Screw it. There are no rules. You guys can take whatever you want.
and that's when they go to Antarctica and get the sub.
Yeah.
No, I thought the Rome scene was super dope, and it was a great way to like kind of like it showed the evolution of Ramsey as well, from going to knowing nothing about cars to being able to spot what engine this is and the mods that it has just by the sound.
See, that's another thing too. I'm glad they gave that back.
And, it shows kind of her edge, like their ability to like actually get into the thick of it and not just be the tech people.
Yeah.
With them actually being the ones to heist the van.
Right. And I mean, it makes sense too because she's probably the smartest one of the group. Probably just had to hang out with them for like a day and probably picked up on it a little bit. But I'm glad that they gave us that back where they just littered stuff about cars and everyone's like, yeah, she's so right. That's so badass. Marry me.
Josh, what did you think about that Rome scene? I feel like that one kind of your wheel a little bit.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. There was a point though, I think at the end, I'm like, damn, this ball's just never gonna stop. It's never gonna stop rolling. But I don't know. I loved it. It was fun. Like I think this movie's like big thing, right? Like every movie, last movie they went to space. You know, the movie before that's the big submarine. The movie before that's the plane, right? So it's like, and then the Fast Five has the safe. So it's like everything has kind of that little thing where you can kind of tell each movie apart. And I feel like this was that. Like you said, yeah, it was really early. I mean, I think it's within the first 15, 20 minutes. And it's funny too, because like, and I thought about this when Cypher came to their door and it was like, hey, you're being hunted by this guy who like fucked me up. It's funny that they're like, well, it'll be all right. And they went to bed at their house that like everyone knows they publicly live at. So it's like, I'm like, damn, you guys aren't going anywhere? Like you're going to stay at this house? So, and even to keep little Brian there, it's like, come on, what are we doing? But
the barn that you were living in the backwoods.
Yeah. Way fucking safer.
Yeah, that would have been way safer. Yeah.
They could have done the cop out they did in 9 where, and again, maybe this is a topic for Brian's Corner. We're going to actually get into it about what they're doing with Paul Walker's character. 9 was the cop out where they're like, oh, their 2 kids and little Brian are staying with Brian while Letty's here because it's a family, or not Letty, Mia is here for a family situation. And it's just like, dude. And also, like, I rewatched 7 and it's like there was a couple times they could have just like, I don't even want to say killed tastefully, but removed them all. Like, then that's the thing, because the actress who plays Mia is obviously in her bag with the series. She's been there since the first one. How do you take her away? But I think, I don't know, there must have been a better way to do it, because I don't know how.
Yeah, but that one's for Paul, Brian.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So
they could have
7 makes sense. 7 makes sense why they didn't. But like, I don't know, 8 maybe they could have alluded to it. Started with like a funeral, like Black Panther style.
Maybe. Yeah, well, it's the thing, like, in this movie, and we'll get back to the Rome part in 1 second, but Mia says to her brother, Jacob, like, yeah, I'll go get Brian and the kids, and we'll meet you guys at the safe point. And I'm like, well, how the fuck are they going to do that?
Yeah.
So I was like, how's that going to work? And that's what I thought. So, but, yeah, like I mentioned, or like Spencer mentioned earlier, like, it shows how smart Dante is and how prepared he is. And, like, he could have just went to their house and killed Dom, but, like, he wants to make him suffer and lose his family. So, it made sense for the story in the movie that he wanted them to come to Rome and it was a trap and everything. So I like that whole part a lot.
It made them terrorists, like just straight up terrorists. he fed them their names right after the bomb started rolling out of the truck. He's like, all right, I uploaded their names to the database. And
and then he stole all their fucking money too.
Yeah, that was
nuts. What other way to make them suffer than to get them back on the top 10 most wanted and have no money and have them actually have to like live in the gutters again,
Yeah.
And it's the best way to kind of separate the family too, because they can't interact with each other. There's no contact.
Big Marvel vibes right
like
now.
The best part to make them suffer, and that's kind of shows like Josh said, like that's Dante's like kind of like why he's such a good villain.
Yeah,
because he was able to just draw them out and draw them to Rome and create this whole escapade of them basically setting them up like criminals when they were trying to actually stop this bomb.
Yeah,
I just feel like though, I mean, again, nobody's heard from nobody, but I feel like maybe just hit up little nobody and be like, hey, you know about this? Like, what do we expect? Hit up someone not just a contact,
Well, yeah, because right after when the bomb explodes, that's when we're introduced to Ames and Tess. Were you guys shocked to see them? Did you know that Brie Larson and Alan Richardson are in this movie? Did you know anything about it?
I didn't know.
I knew Brie Larson was.
In it. I remember Brie Larson on the cover, but it wasn't until I saw her in theater I go, "Oh fuck, that's right!" Like she was on the preview or like the poster or some shit.
Yeah. I was blind the entire time. I was completely caught off guard when they both came on screen. And I mean, the death in quotes of Mr. Nobody is a great way to introduce them, and I love that it's his daughter, like kind of taking over the reins a little bit, and their ability, like you said, to show like an extended point of view from a scene from movies ago was showing Ames in the police station with Reyes and Dante.
They extended their own cut of like the fucking cut we got in this one. They were like, let's make it just totally, a little bigger.
It's just, I mean, you can say what you want about like the cheesiness of this movies and stuff, but like I feel like that writing of like that particular plot line was fantastic.
Bro, like me and my roommate were talking about it. These movies are like the perfect amount of cheesy, and especially just I think it just comes back to like how many times that we've rewatched the original like 3 or 2. Tokyo Drift didn't become my favorite until like we started watching a shit ton, which would have been like 10th grade.
Yeah.
So, like, I think, like, having that love in my heart for it, and again, it's cheesy, but then from there, going to watch these other ones because, again, we were at that age finally, I think around the 5th one. The 4th one, I feel like we were still too young to be dropped off at the movie theaters to go see with our friends, but I feel like from the 5th to the 8th, we just went to the movie theaters and watched it, and that's what made it fun. It's like all of us geeked up, and then I remember the first time seeing a Fast and Furious after getting my license, bro, everyone was driving like a bat out of hell except we left that theater.
Especially you and your little Focus,
Oh, dude, it's got a fucking cool air intake. That bitch is fast.
Little NOS.
Yeah, a little bit of turbo on there. A little turbo.
I got 2 spoilers, bro. Don't fuck with me.
No, I like those characters a lot. And I don't know if you've seen it, Spence, but it's that Reacher show. But now he's playing Reacher. It's so confusing because there's Jack Reacher, which is what the character's based off, that Tom Cruise did for a movie, and now there's a show that's own thing called Reacher.
I heard that show was pretty good.
Yeah, so my mom and dad watched it a few weeks ago, actually, and I think there's only 1 season, but my mom loves him. She's like, he's so handsome. I'm like, yeah, he is.
Did you show
she really
State?
I should. There's some great scenes in there. No, and she really liked it, and she loves these movies, right? So the last time she went to the movies, she did go and see Smile, but she was forced to. But the last time she's actually went was for Fast 9, and then the time before that was for Fate of the Furious. So she only ever goes for these. These are her Star Wars movies. These are her Marvel movies.
That's fucking awesome, Josh. That's why.
Yeah.
You can cut this point if you want to. This is me talking to you. I need it, bro. I need your mom to give us just a quick 5-minute recap on what happens. Like, I totally picture it just as Michael Pena from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And like her doubling back, be like, wait, I forgot something.
But see, that's the thing, Brian, is she has no clue who anyone is. She keeps forgetting. She doesn't remember 9 and 8 at all.
Because then you could just help her. You can help her and be like, say the actor's name and who the character is while they're at it.
Yeah.
Like, well, she's
and she'd probably be upset with me about this, but like, she started watching, I think, around Fast 5, Fast Furious 6, maybe even. Mm-hmm. And when Paul Walker died, she treated it like someone in our family died. Like, she was crying. She was in bed for weeks. Like, actually so upset, crying everywhere. Oh, yeah. Oh, and she knows, like, she was telling me on the way to Fast X to the movie theater. She told me that I guess I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Paul Walker's daughter was in it. She was the flight attendant. That's
Yeah, I heard that she
Jacob's
was going to be in it. I didn't know that was her.
Yep, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know till we were going there. I wouldn't have known anyways. And I guess she recently got married. His daughter in real life, Paul Walker's daughter, and she asked Vin Diesel. Yeah, she asked Vin Diesel to hand her off. Like my mom was telling me all this stuff that I had no clue. Like I didn't even know Paul Walker had a daughter that was that old. Like I didn't know much about him, and she just knew everything. So, but yeah. So to bring it back, I looked at her when Ames was on screen, and she's like a few seats down. And I'm like looking at her, and she just doesn't notice that that's the Reacher guy at all. Like I'm like, no, Reacher. Yeah, she didn't notice. And then because my dad got up to go get,
she goes, no, your sister, I can't reach her. She's busy.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling my sister, I'm like, get mom, because my dad got up to go get popcorn, and my sister's just like, what the fuck do you want? And she's so enthralled in the movie. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. And so the next scene where Ames is on the screen, my dad tells my mom, and my mom notices. But I'm like, how the hell do you watch 10 hours of a show 2 weeks ago and not notice? And the guy just has a light beard. Like, it's not like he doesn't look completely different. But
he's the same size and everything. Because, like, his jump from Thad Castle, it took me a second. Because, again, I didn't know he was in it. And it wasn't until the second shot where I was like, oh, it is Thad Castle. Like, that's hype. And so that's funny, though, that she literally, like, again, now from Reacher to this, he's got the same build. But you're right. He just grew out that little beard.
Yeah, because he's a big guy.
Oh, shit.
That's what threw me off is because the first scene that both of them are in, they're in together, Brie Larson and the Richardson guy who plays that cast. Yeah, they're both in their intro to the franchise is the same exact scene. Like they're in the scene together when they're in like almost the Avengers room where you just got the black, you know.
Yeah, almost, but it was almost like John Wick where they have the fucking High Council.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I did like that they had a few people that rejected the idea of going after the family.
Yeah, was it unanimous?
Was cool. Yeah, I didn't want it to be unanimous.
I think it was like 2 no's.
He's like, oh, looks like the eyes have it.
Yeah, no, that is funny though, Josh, that you say your mom didn't get into the 5th one. She probably picked up on like the family vibe and was like, you know what? I love that. That's us.
We're and I mean, since they're an Italian family, it's like right up her wheelhouse.
Yeah,
right,
does she know that they're not an Italian family?
I don't know if she knows. And I we'll talk about it at the end, but there's a character that shows up at the very end. Not the mid-card scene, but the ending. We all know what we're talking about. We'll get to it. Yep. But when she showed up, my mom had no fucking clue who it was. And she died in 6, so my mom had no clue. My mom's like, who the fuck's that? So just to show you.
Dude, no, but this is why, honestly, fuck it. We'll give her own Small Guys episode 20 minutes long. And it's just her giving
I'll just go record her and throw it on the YouTube.
1 through 10. Throw in Hobbs and Shaw for it, too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's fucking great. I love your mom.
Yeah, so, and I'll say this, too, and we'll talk about it also at the end, but she just wasn't a fan of the whole cliffhanger ending, and, and we'll see if...
Yeah, I mean, this is the first one where that happened.
She wasn't a fan of that.
This is legit her Avengers, bro. Like, she got Infinity Ward. Like,
Infinity
what
War,
happened to us? That's what happened to her.
She's like, why the fuck did they all get snapped away? Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so... But no, and I liked Ames and Tess a lot, and I liked how when they had their first individual scene, like Tess goes to that bar to meet Dom, like she kicks some ass, she's a badass, and then Ames is walking and those guys jump him, in Rio, he beats their asses, like they're not fucking around, they're cool characters, I like them both a lot actually.
I was cracking up, Spencer, at your fucking text because I knew it was coming that you were going to say something about Brie Larson, then you just go, I'll take a shot from her.
These guys are crazy, man. What are you doing? Come on.
Yeah, that was funny.
But yeah, speaking about the Ames character, in just one movie, his only movie that he's been in so far, he flip-flops twice from side to side. Well, actually, from side to side to side, and I thought that was fantastic. I mean, he starts off as like he's clearly just like a U.S. government brute. Like they're playing him up like he's basically like the new Hobbs from Fast Five because Hobbs was all about country over anything else. These guys are criminals and that's it. And that was kind of his whole shtick in the beginning. That's why he's going after him, because he's part of the agency and he's doing it out of justice.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot and he's like, Dom, I'm sorry, man. Like I'm not gonna say sorry, but I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna help you. And then while he's helping him, and right at the time that Dom needs his help the most, he shoots his family out of the sky in the airplane. And he's like, yeah,
what a fucking scene, bro! And it's so
that's what I'm saying.
it's so funny because we talked about it on here. Guardians 3 just came out, and everyone at work that didn't get to go see it, I love fucking with them because I'm just a little asshole like that. And I was like, yeah, my favorite scene was when Rocket Raccoon fucking exploded. And everyone's like, yo, what the fuck? Like, they can spoil it real. No, it's not. But this one, I was actually being serious. Like, how did that end? Like, yeah, they got fucking blown up, dude. It was crazy. And everyone's like, haha, good one. We've heard that one before. And I was like, ooh.
Yikes.
I mean, that goes back to like, yeah, it's cheesy movies, like there's always a bunch of one-liners like, oh, family, like it's like, okay, what are we watching here? But like, again, not just Dante Reyes' character, but the other villain who is now Ames that we didn't know was an actual villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic writing throughout the whole movie. This is his only movie, and he had like such an arc, just a wave roller coaster of like him.
I like that character.
But that was fantastic in the movie too.
We're all in agreement though that like that plane didn't have them on it, right? Like there's no
well,
way.
they ran to their vehicles.
Yeah,
I felt like it was gonna be like
I think it's gonna come down to in the next scene. This is my hypothesis here. Let's see if I can be like Ramsey and make it come true. They obviously had, armored cars and stuff in the plane. It's going to be just like in 6 when Dom drove the Charger out of the front of the airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in the armored cars. It blows up, it crashes, but they're going to be driving out of the wreckage in their cars that are armored.
And then they'll pick them up from the dam. They'll pick them up from the dam.
I thought it was going to be like RC operated.
Go in front of Dom and protect them from the water like they did the fire.
Yeah.
In Antarctica from the sun.
The cars are their superpowers.
That's a power fucking
movie, but just completely wild, law-defying, like not physics at all.
Now,
He's protected from the blast of this blown-up sub by 6 cars blocking him, and he's just got his hand above his face. Like, okay,
dude.
He's got 30 birds.
That scene is so fucking sick.
It's so dope. And that's the thing. You got to put aside, all like what you think should happen in a real life situation. This is a movie, and it's for fun, and they do so good at that. Like, I think they set it up to him doing the same thing with the water that he did with the fire. This time, he's just protecting his son.
Well, even when he's not in a car, he's using a car as a weapon. When he like hot wires that Mustang to like on a bridge to
he
used the car's doors to shield.
But we're forgetting the best part. He picked up that fucking car. He flipped
with
it
one
over,
hand.
Dude.
Yeah.
He's fucking nuts.
He did lift it, yeah.
I put that in my notes. I was like, Dom flips over a car on the bridge.
we see stories all the time with moms in real life actually doing
right.
Yeah. Like,
he's got that mom strength.
Movie as a whole. Like, that might be the most plausible thing that ever happened.
Probably. It's probably up there.
Before we stray too far, though, my hypothesis is that plane being flown was an RC-1, and then there's going to be a backup, like, helicopter or plane or something that they're in, and they just come in with, like, a hook and just go, scoop, and then they're gone.
Yeah, they'll definitely save them, and,
Dude,
I agree. I think I agree with Spencer.
Fucking funeral. It starts and all three of them are dead.
That'd be a little dark.
Six lined up, yeah. That's not.
Well, they clearly all come back anyway.
Yeah.
So
the Lazarus pit.
The scene I really was excited to talk to you guys about because I knew you two really like the older movies, the first few. We did get an old-fashioned race in this movie. What did you guys think of that? Like, in Rio, like.
Well, you got my text about it, so I was kind of pissed at the end of it.
Yeah, but it looked cool. I was excited.
You got my text as well. I mean, I thought, like what you just said, that basically sums it up. I mean, that actually takes it back to its roots at its like core. It's just street racing. And that was just like the what is it? Is it the fourth one? I think it's the fourth one when they're actually racing like 4 side by side.
Yeah.
And it just shows each car inching in front of the other ones, and then we finally got the scene where he kicks in the NOS and it goes through the actual fuel lines. Hits the piston.
Big call back to the first and second.
Back out the exhaust. Like, that is completely and utterly just a throwback to the original street.
And on top of that,
I loved it.
You got girls shaking ass, and they got music playing in the back. You got all these fly-ass cars. They're like, this is the scene. And then I was so pissed because in the back of my mind, I go, Jason Momoa's gonna show up and fuck this up somehow. And sure enough, they get into the street race. I text Josh and I go, "This is probably the only street race I'm gonna see, huh?" And he fucking blows 2 people up. Like, that is crazy.
Well,
but also it was a sick idea, because he goes, "Which one are you gonna save?" You don't know what he's talking about until it gets going, and you're like, "Oh."
Well, and then we meet Isabel Nevis, who is Elena's younger sister.
Yep.
Yeah. She's a great actress. She was just actually in Guardians of the Galaxy. She was the pink girl that Quill tries to flirt with. She was also Ratcatcher in the Suicide Squad. Yeah, she's great. Yeah. So she was great in this movie, and she was believable that she was the younger sister. But it made sense too, like Brian just said, where Finn had to decide between the two, and he chose to save Isabel.
Yeah, and it made that conversation so much more raw between them after it happens. And she goes, "I knew it the second I looked at you."
Yeah,
and that's true. Like, he didn't even hesitate to choose her over the other guy.
Yeah, and
I mean, he's loyal to a fault, and he knows that this guy protected him against Hobbs in 5.
Yeah.
And he would have saved him over anything if the sister wasn't there, but he had to choose family over.
That's his son's only blood relative that they know.
Yeah.
And that shows that ties into, Dante being such a good villain.
Yeah,
he
knew that shit.
We get the throwback of the original street racing, but we also get the new, crazy, explosions, international criminal tie-in also to the end of this, throwback scene, because in the first ones we would never see, somebody blowing up another car in a race. Like, that's just completely against the rules. But this guy's such a criminal. He thought this out so much that, he's got Dom's friend and Dom's the mom of his son's sister. Yeah. And he's going to have to make this hard decision, and it causes the suffering, like he said. So, I mean, fantastic writing in that too. I mean, honestly, this one, I think probably critic score should probably be one of the highest in terms, just because there's honestly, there is some really good writing.
Yeah, dude. And what's cool about that whole scene too is we don't understand why he's saving that girl, because to us we're like, who is this bitch? Because that's how she was portrayed, just some random girl that was being mean and won a couple races. And it's like, all right, Dom, put her in her place. But Dom had a whole different motive. So you're sitting there and you're like, Dom, why the hell aren't you saving our boy? We know
Dom, are you sexist?
Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah. The only thing
you're married, man. Why are you going after this girl?
Exactly, dude. That's what I was saying.
Met this girl, but no, I mean, he knew exactly who she was.
Dude.
Yeah.
The only thing I did wish, because I'm a little selfish to make it even more of a throwback, is if there was some type of jump and they would have made her yell, "Smack that ass," like the second movie. I was waiting for it. I was like, dude, if she hits that'd be so fucking great.
That'd be funny. No.
But also, we left out the scene right before they start racing, and they have another Brazil moment where they fucking just have guns pointed at each other. And then they make it look like a ton of people until they zoom out, and each side only has 15 people, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was funny.
I love that it's evenly split. It's the side that wants the money, and then it's the side that Dom,
the streets,
met in Fast 5. The guys
that respects him.
Yeah, these are my boys. I got this out of loyalty. So I like that it was an even split.
Yeah, and I really like the scene. I know we just kind of briefly mentioned it about where he's talking to her after at the house, and I really liked how she felt like she didn't really have a good relationship with her sister, that they had nothing in common, that they're complete opposites. And I liked how he tied it together with him and Brian's relationship, about a cop and a street racer getting along. I really liked it, and you could tell he was really just getting into his emotions there. That felt genuine too, and I really liked that scene a lot.
Yeah. And they didn't touch on that a lot. It was a quick scene.
Yeah.
But they did a good job of showing her with the realization that he's coming from a sincere place, and he actually is telling her
his
this
experience.
is real. This actually happened to me. So they did a good job of playing that. And then they also did a good job of tying that into how Dom found the stash house. His sister actually was investigating Reyes like crazy. So she would have this information. It's not just something that the writers just threw in she just so happened to have, a whole file on Reyes. No, his sister had good reason, because Reyes killed her husband. So I think they did a good job of tying that into the next part of the story too.
God, yeah. I'm so glad we're all in agreement here, because we're going to eventually get to the score. So there's still a lot to talk about here. But this movie, just the writing as a whole, was actually fucking good. And you go through all 10 of these movies, and 8 and 9 are just 7 was understandable, but I feel 8's when they really went off the deep end. But 10 just kind of brought it back level. Like, sure, they're doing some outrageous shit that doesn't make any type of sense, but writing wise, everything is coming full circle, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really like.
Oh, go ahead, Sins. Sorry.
I was just going back onto Brian's real quick.
Mhm.
The writing in terms of like the relationship with like the Shaws and like this, family.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they did such a good like service to us of like explaining how like they're like becoming more of like a friendship between like Deckard Shaw, his mother, and Toretto and Han, who he tried to kill and everything. Like they did a good job of like explaining like why they're helping each other.
Yeah.
Whereas like in like 7 and 8, they were teaming up, but it was like, would they really actually team up with this guy when they're like trying to kill each other?
That's what's funny too is
when they did a good job of like honing that in and actually like explaining like they're kind of like making amends with each other and they're like combining to face a greater evil. And I thought they did a good job in the writing of that too.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny too that like what really solidifies like that. I mean, you could probably call it a friendship between Shaw and Toretto's family. Is just the fact that Toretto was like, "Fuck this! Like your sons are good at what they do. Yeah, they have bad intentions." So he went to the mom and was like, "Here's what's going on. I know your sons are really good at what they do. We could help each other here." And it works very well.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they show that in 8 when he goes and sees the mom in the bar for like a quick conversation, and that's how they set up Jason Statham like saving his son is he went through the mom.
Yeah.
But I still feel like we didn't get enough of that conversation to actually show like how they kind of made up, and they did a good job in this one of actually fulfilling that, especially with having Han and Jason Statham.
This is what I think though. So what I imagine happened is just like, yeah, your oldest son is a menace. He killed our friend. But at the same time, he did it for his family. We did what we did for our family. And now your family's in jeopardy. My family's in jeopardy. Let's go. And I feel like that was all the conversation was. Because, again, he only had, like, at that point, a 3-minute window before God's eye would kick in and fucking catch him?
Yeah, before the van moved and everything. Yeah.
No, that's a good point. And I want to hear your guys' opinion because we really didn't talk about it yet, but like the whole Jacob and little Brian storyline. I did think it was funny when the house got raided because I'm like, why are you guys still there? And Mia is like trying to hold them off, and little Brian runs in the kitchen, and there's a bad guy there, and you just see the bad guy get flung into the fridge as if the Hulk hit him, and I'm like, what the hell was that?
Did you expect?
I thought it was going to be Shobbs.
Hobbs.
Said Shobbs. Because I'm thinking of Shaw. I thought it was going to be Hobbs at first.
Same.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I thought that was a great introduction to Jacob, showing that he's actually like reconnected with the family, especially Mia, who he still stayed in touch with. They said that, they still stayed in touch like a year after Dom excommunicated him.
Mm-hmm.
But it still shows that he like is reconciling with Mia, and he actually has a relationship with his nephew now.
Yeah, he's called him Uncle Jacob.
Yeah, and even when he said, "I love you, Uncle Jacob," and he just kind of like paused because he didn't really know. Like he probably didn't think he'd ever get to that point with anyone in his family again. Even though I guess Mia did have the love for him, and that's another thing for Brian's corner too. About Fast 9, is Dom really the asshole in that one? Maybe.
Again, I'm going to throw this back to the writers and give them credit because they did a good job of showing that, Jacob was just being a good son and not telling Dom that his dad wanted to throw this race and hurt his image that Dom had of his father. He did a good job of saying, like, I kept that to me. It's on me. But I also didn't like that you didn't even give me a chance.
Yeah.
And just kicked him out immediately. So I thought they did a good job of, like, not showing any fault on either of their sides and just showing that it's, like, it was a hard time, a terrible situation that, nobody can actually get through. And they did a good job of actually showing that they were just dealing with it their own ways and there isn't actually any beef there.
Yeah, and I love, too, that, like, and again, this is 9 base now, like, when Jacob does show up, that Letty is the only other one that knows. And that's so cool that, like, it does show that is Dom's love is, like, he shares everything. There is no secrets between them. And so she was the only one from the group, obviously, other than Mia, but Mia didn't know who it was when they were, because she wasn't there. But like the fact Letty was like, oh my God, that was Jacob, wasn't it? And then us in the theater or sitting in our rooms, like, who the fuck is Jacob?
Like, oh, that's his brother, But Letty was also like in the picture too when their father died. I mean, she was around when she was 15, and I mean Dom was clearly over 15 when his father died because he went to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
he was
too.
clear.
That showed how he met
He
the.
probably knew Jacob pretty well.
It showed how he met the two brothers that are in the fourth and fifth one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in prison. Yeah, in the garage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Carlos and
yeah, and again, as much
Or-
of
or
a
Carlos and Dio or
stinker
something.
9 was, again, it really built up into 10. Like I had so much fucking fun with this movie.
Yeah. Well, and I know too. We talked about the bridge scene, but since we're talking about the character, and I feel like we're pretty much at that point, what did you guys think of the death of Jacob? Do you think he's gonna stay dead? I mean, clearly we're seeing that no characters do.
I genuinely think that he's actually dead. One, it's John Cena, and I imagine he's got other projects, like especially with Gunn taking over DC now, and the fact that he has the only successful fucking show out from DC.
Yeah.
Well, not the animated Harley Quinn show; that show's gas. But real life, I feel like he's just gonna be busy. So like, it wouldn't make sense if they killed him. And he went on an honorary way. He redeemed himself. He fucking helped save Dom's son, his nephew. That
thanks
he
for showing me
just
the
met.
light, brother, and stuff like that.
And I think that would actually be like an actual meaningful death. So
Yeah, I will say that is a good point because they don't, from all the deaths that we've had so far, it's kind of just been quick. Like Han just blew up basically. He never really got like a goodbye to Sean or any of the rest of the family. Same thing with Gazelle when she just like she jumped off to save Han and shoot the guy that
badass
was gonna, like,
too. I forgot how badass that shot was.
But like she still never really got like a goodbye to anybody else or anything like that. And they actually did Jacob, like he did get a farewell, like, hey, I'm doing this to save your son. Thank you for being a good brother now. And like he's glad that they reconciled. So it would be a good death, like better than the rest that we've had. But I could also see, I mean, now that Giselle came back, there hasn't been a member of like the actual core family that has actually died and stayed dead.
Yeah.
No.
They're all completely back now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I also see them just bringing Jacob back because they don't want anybody to die and they want to stay invincible, And I honestly wouldn't be mad at that, but I would also not be mad if they kept him dead because they did give him a good death on that bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What if we found out they did some like type of ritual before the fifth one, like before they were out the bank and like made them immortal? They're out in like they're out in the fucking woods, like drinking blood and shit. And that's
Honestly,
why Jacob's
it'd make more
dead.
sense. Yeah, that'd
Josh,
make more
you think
sense.
he's back? What are your thoughts on the whole Jacob?
Yeah, so
situation?
actually, my dad said, and maybe it's because he was pissed because none of these characters ever died, but he's like, Jacob made the car. He's like, maybe there's a chance that he made a way where he can get out of it, before. And I'm like, honestly,
they're gonna expand the shot, and it's like the Ejectocito Cuzzo, and it's him bouncing up the top.
Yeah, because
it was an open roof. He could have jumped out because it did flip.
Yeah, and it took a minute to explode. My mom actually does like the character, and she's like, wait, did he actually die? And so my dad was saying that. So, but honestly, like, this is the one, like, if it was any other movie and you'd see that, you're like, he's dead, right? No second thought about it. But it's like, in this kind of movie, unless you see the body, like, you don't know. You really don't know.
Fucking funeral scene. Well, actually, can't even say that.
Yeah, there's probably
because they did a funeral for Han.
Yeah. There's very well a good chance. Like, I feel like for betting odds that there's better odds that he's alive still than that he's dead.
I'm gonna throw $5 on it right now that he's dead.
Okay. Yeah, you probably get.
I will take that deal for
All
it.
right, deal.
Yeah, you probably get positive money there.
And when 11 comes in, we'll revisit this bet.
No, it'll
yeah.
be
So
10 point something. Would it be 10.3 because there's 3 of them?
we talked about the double crossing in the plane crashing, but what did you guys think of that whole like dam scene with the two semis coming at him? I thought that was kind of cool. And I guess the way
my money and take me away from my family, but you should have taken my car.
my car, yeah, yeah, that scene was crazy.
No, it was a good scene. It was a good scene because
Yeah.
it showed how fucking great Dante is. And then the cross scene was fucking perfect. Because again, you already didn't like Thad Castle, and I'm just gonna always refer to him as Thad Castle. I know it's Ames, but you like Thad Castle. Well, you hate him, and then you love him. You're like, all right, cool, we're in this shit now. He's about to be a part of the family. Cross.
That's what I mean. Yeah, so they did such a good job where like that one actually like made me mad that he was like he shot the javelin at the airplane and blew it up.
Yeah,
because we were at a point where we thought like this guy might come in and join the family like Hobbs did.
Right, and
because he's turned that point to where he's helping the criminals now, and you think that like So it was more of a stinger than what it would have been because he did flip sides
But it was so
to
fucking
the Torettos
cool,
and then
though,
against them.
because he
Doing that.
even points it
doing
out.
that.
He goes, "You just think everybody wants to be on your side," and it's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, 9 movies do prove that. Like the
Yeah.
big bad from the 8th one that gunned down the mother of his child came to his front door and helped his now wife.
Yeah.
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 I did like.
Go ahead, Swiss.
Sorry,
No, you're
I keep
okay. You're
cutting
okay.
you off. I said I did like. I mean, I didn't like. I felt like that scene did kind of get spoiled because it was in the trailer,
Mhm.
and that is kind of one of the flaws that I had with that scene. I was a little mad that they did show him
Didn't
driving
watch
off
the
the
trailer,
dam.
so I'm pretty hyped about that.
I knew that he was going to get out of that particular situation. I mean, I know he's still in one because he's going to blow the dam now, and he's at the bottom of it with his son.
Yeah.
But that part did kind of spoil it for me a little bit to where he drove off the dam before the trucks exploded. And
It's funny you
I
said
wish-
that. Yeah, that is in the trailer. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. That's funny you said that. Yeah, I hate when movies do that.
yeah,
You know, but there's 2 scenes I want to talk about before we get to the end with the submarine. The one, I don't know if you guys noticed because none of my family did, but did you guys notice that Debbie Ryan was in it really quick? It's the scene.
No.
It's the scene where John Cena and Little Brian are walking in the airport, and he has like the kayak, or you think it's a kayak, and he like bumps into the girl, and that was Debbie Ryan. I could have swore in my life
really?
it was. Yeah, because she had that quick.
She is because she's credited. I was looking at it earlier, and I go, "Where the fuck
Yeah.
was Debbie Ryan at in this?"
Yeah, that was her. I was like, wait, why the hell is Debbie Ryan in this? And it was one
Yeah.
quick
Where
like
they have
word.
one of those awkward interactions with strangers that we all have had in our
Yeah.
life, where we walk up to them head to head and we're like, "I'm going to go right." No, you're
I
going
mean, like
right.
he goes,
I'll go
"We're
left."
gonna stay here. You walk around."
Yeah, you walk down. I had no idea that was her.
Yeah, and I didn't know if she was gonna come back. Like, I didn't know what that scene was about, but I thought that was kind of funny. And then obviously we have to mention one of Brian's favorite actors. Sorry, one of Brian's favorite actors. What's his name? Fuck, now it slipped my mind. Pete Davidson. Your favorite, Brian. Sorry for forgetting. Yeah.
Kanye stand, bro. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Okay, sorry about that.
I was so happy when she punched him in the face. Nah.
Yeah, what'd you think of that whole part? That was kind of
Dude,
out of nowhere.
He plays such a dickhead in everything, so it was really funny that they just gave him a role. Like, yeah, so you're just gonna be Pete Davidson and do your thing, have fun.
He was a fantastic cast.
Dude,
for
it
that
was
guy.
funny though.
I loved the fighting when Han actually ate the
Dude,
funny
yes,
muffin.
eating the
Yeah.
funny muffin, and he sees the
Yeah.
thing like zoom in and zoom out, and he goes,
He's watching because he's always snacking, so like obviously he's gonna eat the muffin, and he's just watching Roman and Tej fight on the floor, and their faces are going in and out. He's totally tripping off this funny muffin.
Yeah.
Dude.
I thought that was a great scene,
Well, like,
and it was nice to show that like what Ames said, not everybody's on their side. Like
Mhm.
her friend, who's Pete Davidson, totally sold her out. Like
Mhm.
he went online and said, "Hey,
faces
they're in
are
my
all
shop."
over the dark web.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought that was a great scene too, and it kind of just like showed that, and that's what led to Han going to Shaw
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have gotten that scene where they kind of were able to like at least talk to each other, and like they didn't fully make amends, but they were on their way, kind of showing
Yeah.
like showing them being on their way of making amends. Like that scene was a direct descendant from him
I get
ratting them
I
out.
totally get
Yeah.
why Han wanted to go in by himself, but I think it would have been way quicker if they would have came in with him and then shown him like, all right, well, here's the group I just helped. Here's their dead friend. What's going on? Instead of just trying to beat the shit out of Han. But that was funny. He looks like he's reaching for a gun. It's just like a thing of Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when Shaw starts beating the shit
Yeah.
out of him. Like, oh, you're gonna throw a gun on me, but no, it's
Because you messed up my snack.
you wrecked my bag of chips.
That was
Uh,
funny.
There is one thing that I want to mention because we went over it and I didn't have time to put it in there. Talking about little Brian hanging out with his uncle.
Yeah.
Little Brian has blood on his fucking hands, dude. Like
Oh,
his
yeah, he's
uncle
killed
let
people.
he let him pull that fucking lever, bro, and he killed at least 4 people in that one fucking
Yep.
pull.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, damn. When they did
Yeah,
that, I was
that's
like,
actually when I started taking notes. I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm gonna forget about this. I got to start writing it down, and then I have like a literal list of just random things, so that way I could remember to talk about it.
That's funny. So let's talk about the ending. When a special character comes out, Submarine, Giselle. I had a pretty good feeling. I think I heard maybe a spoiler or something months and months and months ago that Gal Gadot was going to come back or appear in the movie, and So I kept thinking on the top of my head because I didn't look it up beforehand because I didn't want to be spoiled. But I'm like, will she show up? Like that was the one thing I was wondering. I know, like on my way there, my parents were thinking like, this movie might have ended in a cliffhanger. I'm like, maybe, but like the thing I kept thinking was, is she gonna appear? So what did you guys think of that? Were you shocked when she came back? Were you not
I was
shocked?
shocked. It took me a second. I had a moment of what your mom had happened, except for she didn't put it together. I was sort of like, who is that? And I go, no way. And then I was like, how are they going to explain that? Because nobody hired Han because he used to work with Giselle, but now Giselle's alive, and is Mr. Nobody an asshole for not telling Han? She better have a good fucking reason as to what she was doing and why.
And you know when they come back together in the next movie and meet again.
Was ready to settle down, dude.
I'm gonna meet her, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, my whole stint in Tokyo of like a heartbroken, like super down guy. Like my wife just died, or my future wife is dead, and I'm like on my own.
I'm helping out some fucking random hillbilly from Kansas.
So he's just gonna be like, well, that was like all completely wasted, you know? Like, oh, she's been alive this whole time.
I could have just been eating chips on the beach with you.
Yeah, we lost like 12 years together.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I will say I was surprised. I mean, you guys definitely know that because you got the "What the fuck, Giselle's back" text when I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot her name, and I go, "Who the fuck is Janelle or Giselle?"
Yeah. But the thing that kind of brings me back to that a little bit is to like, I'm not so surprised that she's alive. Is because I think it was 8 when they're on the plane, and Shaw has his brother who also fell off the plane, and he survived. Yeah. So that. Seeing him alive with just the scar on his face, you know, him calling him Scarface and everything, that did put it in my head that, like, if he's alive, then Giselle might also be alive because they died the same way.
Right.
You know, falling off the plane. So I was surprised that she was there. I didn't think that they would actually bring her back, especially because she's such, like, a main character, and that was, like, huge in, like, Han's story.
Yeah.
But I am like, they do kind of have a way of like writing it off like, oh, if this guy survived, and it's like, it's not that too far fetched that she survived.
Would her dying have anything to do with like scheduling conflicts? Because like, was the DCU going at that point? Because she first popped up in Batman vs Superman, and I forget what year that movie came out where she died. Because she dies in 7, yeah.
No, she died in 6, I think.
Was it 6?
In 6.
Yeah. 6 is the plane.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was like 2011. So no.
Yeah, there was shit going on. Yeah, I guess.
No.
I think it had more to do with them trying to tie in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Because Tokyo does take place after that, and at that point, Han had lost somebody. We didn't know who it was in Tokyo Drift because she hadn't been introduced yet.
Yeah.
But he did have that person that he lost, and the reason that he's in Tokyo mentoring Sean. So
Dom showing up at
I think they had to do that. They had to do that to service Han's story because he did have to lose somebody, and they played up their love story, so it had to be her.
So then did we just assume the plot board for Tokyo Drift was like, hey, we like making these movies about racing. Let's do one in Tokyo and figure out how to tie it in way later. Like that's their dream board.
Well, they made that one because you know, Vin Diesel was off doing things, and Paul Walker didn't want to do another one without him because he did the second one without him. So that's why they wanted to try. They want to almost try to see if they could reboot it. I watched a video on it the other day, and So, and it's funny because that main guy Sean's supposed to be like a high schooler, and he looks like he's in his like early 30s.
Great movie.
No, and Han became a fan favorite from that movie, from just the third one.
Goated, bro.
Yes.
Now he's like even goated in like the car community. Like, have you seen those TikToks where like someone will have a nice ass car, like a Japan car, and then like Han, like the actual actor will just be in the background eating a bag of chips and like looking at the car, like the car.
Well, that's the thing too. So when they were talking about, when they were talking about the our Fast and Furious, the fourth movie, they're like, Han was getting noticed, and he was with the director, and he's like, damn, it's too bad, like, you know, we killed you, and he's like, well, could I be dead? And then they're like, okay, yeah. So then they made movies that took place before that movie, and then like so, and I guess like Universal was worried that like it'd confuse fans, like the way the movies were in order, and I guess for some people it does, like my mom, but yeah. So I think it was a cool way that they were able to bring him back. But let's talk about another actor that's back now. You see him in the mid credit scene, Hobbs, The Rock.
Before we say
back.
this, Dude, I texted Josh, or maybe I was talking, I forget. But I was just like,
Mhm.
"Hey, Dwayne the Rock Johnson come back for this?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, bro, he's in it." So that's why that when I really thought when John Cena showed up, it was gonna be Hobbs, and I saw John Cena, I go, "You little asshole, Josh!" I was like, "Where the fuck is Sean?"
No, I think I said.
Where's
I'm pretty sure I
Hobbs
said.
at?
I'm pretty sure I said, nah, I don't think so. I think he's done with the franchise because I didn't want you to know that The Rock was coming back. But once you see his stature, like in the mid-credit scene, you're like, okay, that's him. But
Yeah, I do that when he had the rolled up sleeves and you just see like this yoked forearm.
yeah, like you
And
just
like
know
he's
it's this.
clearly 6'4" and
Yeah,
just 300 pounds of muscle. Like,
it's
oh, that's
giant.
gotta be hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so like the way they set it up is like they go see Shaw in the movie. Shaw Dante's after him and wants to kill his mother because anyone that's worked with the family is on the hit list. So Shaw's really briefly in the movie, and then they set up the Rock at the end. So I think that they set up a Hobbs and Shaw 2. Will the Rock come back in 11 or 12? I don't know. He wasn't in 9 at all, and then 10 he's in a mid credit scene. And
Yeah,
in
well, it's
8
'cause
he was
they
never
had
in a
beef,
scene with
right?
yeah. So in 8 he never shot a scene with Vin Diesel, like they're never in the same room. So it's like they've been beefing for years and years and years. So
And then
I don't know
Tyrese
if they'll
Gibson
ever.
took the Instagram and was fucking calling him out and shit.
Yeah, and
He
Vin
had beef
Diesel.
about pay.
Vin Diesel keeps calling The Rock like little bro because he's like 2 years older than him. So he literally was calling him little brother Dwayne. So like he's insulting him,
Yeah,
and
did he say like
there's
little
so
brother
much beef.
Dwayne is confused or some shit like that?
Yeah. I'm trying to give little brother Dwayne guidance, even though like he's The Rock's now probably made more money than him, although he's a producer and all this shit on on
Yeah.
these movies. So I don't know.
But
But,
the little brother stature. I mean, all Vin Diesel said, I am Groot, and he has the best trilogy from MCU. Black Adam couldn't even break like what 300 million.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So I don't know. I was excited to see him back. I like the Hobbs character a lot. So
I do too. I'm really glad he's back. And they did I'm excited to see like in what way he's back because they show him in like a military outfit, basically, like he's maybe like a mercenary or he decided to work with the agency. But when they kind of wrote him out of the story, like he said, "No, like I'm gonna be a dad. I'm not back. I'm daddy's home." Basically, is what he said to his daughter. I'm interested to see like in what capacity like he was,
Yeah, I could almost see
like, what he
another
was
Hobbs
doing,
and Shaw instead of
like
him.
what agency he was working for. If he went back to like his actual job, or maybe he's working with the agency, so maybe he is with Mr. Nobody, or he knows that Mr. Nobody's alive.
yeah.
His mission could
Maybe
be
that's
going
why
to
he
get
was.
Mr. Nobody.
Well,
Yeah, like what I thought honestly was that Mr. Nobody was like sending him to Reyes because he's still aware of like this whole situation. So like I feel like Mr. Nobody might be behind The Rock coming back.
yeah. Well, and then
That might be how
two,
they.
if they do a Hobbs and Shaw 2, like obviously Dante would have to be the villain. And then how do you do that? Because this movie ended on a cliffhanger with Vin Diesel in the dam, and obviously Dante's right up top there, like setting it off. So it's like
full circle, huh?
yeah. So it's like where would they fit that in between 11, and how would that work? So I don't know. So but they definitely set something up, or at least for it to be kind of a Hobbs and Shaw light in the 11th movie. So I don't know.
That's I'm thinking might
Dude,
happen.
what if they
is
did
that's how
that?
Yeah.
What
They
if
set
they did
something
the,
up.
the three parts they broke it into? One was Fast 10, with the original crew. 2 is a Hobbs and Shaw sequel, and then 3
That'd
is
be funny.
all right, full circle. Everyone's back
Yeah.
together. I'd
That'd be
actually be
funny.
mad. I need to know how this
I think
cliffhanger
that might be
ends.
the capacity that Hobbs comes back. Is he comes back and it's going to be like Hobbs and Shaw 2 just in the Fast movie, and they're going to be doing like their mission to combat Reyes while the family's doing their mission to combat Reyes, and it's going to be like
Yeah, and then Ames
a
should
2-on.
shave his head, and then he should join the crew too.
Yeah.
No,
Abe shows
that'd
up
be
in a white t-shirt.
You
and
got to
a
have a
shaved
shaved
head.
head. That's the rule.
Yeah, to join that gang. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's give our scores, our reviews, and then let's also say what our favorite Fast and Furious movie is before giving our score. So I don't know whoever wants to start. I mean, I can go first if you guys want me to with my movie and score. I think personally it's tough because I like Furious 7 a lot and I like Fast 5 a lot, but I think my favorite is Fast 5. I think this movie even helped that a little bit more. So I'm going to say Fast 5 is my favorite. And then on the movie standpoint, I wasn't a huge fan of 8 or 9 too much. They kind of almost meshed together for me. I've seen both of them only once, and I've seen all the other ones so many times. Clearly these movies ever since 7 has been making like $1 billion, and I think this one will. I think it's on course to. I I have fun at these. Spencer said you have to expect a different reality for these movies. Throw physics out the window and stuff like that. And it is kind of like an opera type, situation. So you love each character, and every scene's really fun. But then there's just sometimes where it's like, they're fighting those guards with the helmets right in the house, and it's just like Mia like throwing haymakers, but you're knocking them out, and they're wearing these helmets. It's like, what's the point of the helmets? So there's so many different scenes like that, and like that brings it down a little bit, and I don't know. It's kind of all over the place, and you got to keep following the story. But it's fun to turn off your brain and have a fun time watching the movie, and you do love these characters. I'm just gonna give it an 80 flat. It's hard to rate. Obviously I'd give Fast X or Fast 5 rather, and Furious 7, like those ones, a higher score because I just personally like those ones more. Or even like the fourth Fast and Furious movie, or Too Fast Too Furious. I like that one a lot too. So it's like, I think those ones just kind of hold a little bit more of a special one in my heart. But I think Fast X is better than 8 and 9, if I had to say.
I'd agree.
But yeah, so I'm gonna go with an 80.
That. I'm like right in Josh's like. I'm right up in your grill here, Josh. Like I agree with you 100%. I think Fast 5 is definitely my favorite, and this one solidified that easily because of all the callbacks to Fast 5 and how they introduced, or they kept showing like we were talking about, like extended scenes of these Fast 5 scenes. In the beginning of it, they re-show almost the entire vault chase, like down the street. Like they show them pulling it out of the garage and running through a bank and all that. One of my favorite movies strictly because of that. I mean, you said that they all have these big scenes, and I think that bank heist was probably one of my favorite. I think it's the best scene in all of the Fast franchises when they robbed the bank from Reyes. Fast 5 easily my favorite for sure, but I do hold. I mean, you can't beat the Tokyo Drift. Oh well, driving through the subdivision. Or the drift around the busy street in Japan when all the people move and they're just drifting through the streets.
Yeah.
Or Too Fast Too Furious, Forget About It, Cuz.
Forget About It, Cuz.
There's so many scenes of this franchise that I love, and I think because of that, I will watch every single one. Like you said, it kind of did fall off. For me, I wasn't even really a fan of 7. I think 5 was my favorite, and then like 7, 8, 9 kind of like fell off a little bit, but they still had these great scenes with the sub, the Rock hanging out of the door, moving the torpedo, like these great, like you said, I mean, just one huge scene in the movie. And this one, the Rome scene with the Raiders Ark circle bomb just rolling down the streets chasing Letty, him blowing up the Vatican, putting his arms out wide like the statue in Rio de Janeiro, like great scenes. This movie was fantastic. You do have to go into it with an open mind, though. Like, you got to put everything aside. Like, these movies are there to make you feel good, make you have fun.
Yeah.
And I think this one, aside from Fast 5, like, this one did the best job of just having it fun, making the movie, like, just a good experience. The villain, Jason Momoa, killed it. He was one of, like, the most, like, in-depth, biggest arc of any of the villains that we've seen, because now all of the villains are on their side. We've seen them all turn and join the family. Jason Momoa is not going to do that. So I think that alone kind of just like solidifies him as like the best villain.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this movie was great. This one definitely goes up there as one of my favorites for sure. Fast 5 is definitely my number one, with Tokyo Drift and Too Fast, Too Furious. And obviously the original is still one of the best movies in the franchise. But I'd give this one a solid, 85, especially just because of like the fun factor. Like, if you go see this in the theaters, you're gonna enjoy the entire movie. Yeah, I definitely go. I think 85 for me on this one.
That's a good score. Brian?
That's actually a phenomenal score, because that's the same score I was going to give this fucking movie. And again, I want you to know, like, obviously you could tell we've just been riffing. Like, this is all memory based. Like, we really haven't had to look shit up because we all have watched the series so fucking much. And like Spencer said, this is just a good, fun watch. And I want to emphasize, me and Spencer went separately, and we both went and saw this movie by ourselves, but had a great fucking time in the theater because it was just that much fucking fun. And that's what, like, I'm not gonna say that's what movies are all about because they do need to make movies that are gonna fucking blow your mind and you go and watch them like what Christopher Nolan's up to
or
and stuff.
invoke emotions and stuff
Right.
like that.
And
Not just for a laugh or for a good time, but yeah, like you do need sentimental movies. This isn't one of them, but it's a great.
But at the same time, though, it is because they start off at the beginning and they just kind of flash around the garage and it's just all these old pictures. They keep showing pictures of Paul Walker with the group when he was still alive, and like they have the "See You Again" like kind of pick up a little bit at the beginning, and then it comes to a halt. But it is cool that they keep him involved throughout the whole thing, knowing that Paul Walker is now gone and will never make an appearance in any of these movies. Really,
not many franchises would do that.
yeah, no, they wouldn't, and that was cool too. Again, this is 9 base now, not even 10. But at the end, they're like, "Oh, there's one more spot at the table," and this car comes speeding up. It's a blue Subaru. Everyone knows that's fucking Paul Walker. Like, it's just cool to see a franchise fucking do that.
Even in this movie, they had that seat open.
Yeah, because Tej sat there and he was like, "Yo, you're in his seat," and he like got over and moved over. Yeah. But yeah, no, 10 was fun. Jason Momoa, again, is basically the Fast and Furious Joker. I think that's the best way to fucking describe it. But again, there is things like Josh talked about, where you talked about the helmets.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so there's one scene in the house, Letty is fucking, it like hits the dude with a frying pan, right? And okay, I get it's a frying pan. Sorry, Mia.
Yeah.
I always get them confused. Mia hits the dude in the head with a frying pan, and he like goes down instantly, but then you see Rome throw an absolute haymaker and then fucking hurt his hand. And he's like, oh, yeah. It's like, okay, well, what are we going to do here? What's the fine line? But yeah, no, solid 85. I do get it for people that are like this series. Like, yeah, this movie is absolutely probably a fucking 30% in your mind. But fuck you. Have fun.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
It's all about the family. And literally, Josh goes and sees these with his family. That's so great.
Yeah, it's the only movie we all go to together. It's funny.
After the second one, I kind of put away like the whole reality when they're jumping a car onto a boat.
Yeah.
And
Ejecto Cito Cuzzo throwing people out of cars.
Yeah, each movie just gets more and more unrealistic.
All that aside, just have fun with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it though. My favorite one, though 5 is good, Tokyo Drift holds a very special place in my heart. That is also not going to be my number one. I'm going Too Fast, Too Furious. The fucking skyline.
Dom's not even in it.
Bro, dude, I know, and it hurts, but the second one, so quotable. Me and Spencer quote that bitch all the time in, like, no context, in, like, Fast and Furious. Like,
That one holds up there, too, for me, because it's an introduction to 2 of the main 5 characters. You get Tej and Roman Pierce.
And that story behind why Roman and Brian don't like each other at the beginning is fucking great. And then you see Ludacris, and Ludacris is like, I told you I got something crazy. And in the first 10 minutes, we're watching them jump cars over a fucking bridge during a street race. Yeah. And again, that skyline.
And he's taking bets on jet ski races when he's not racing cars. You know, like it just...
Dude, and then that scene in the second one that I absolutely love is when they go in and they go into the garage and they don't know that they won the 2 muscle cars. So they swap into the muscle cars. Send Tej and, what's the chick's name? It's like Snooki or some shit like that. And they send them out in their cars, and then like a billion cars come bursting out of the garage, and the cops don't know which one's which. They're like, "Oh, we got him!" Pulls over Ludacris, and again, and Ludacris being Ludacris, just like, "Fellas, I know my tags are expired, but damn!" And then, like the fact that they just keep them like on pace the rest of the sagas is fucking amazing, dude. And also, I want to say one of my favorite quotes was when they're on the plane before they get shot down. When they're on the plane, and he's like, I'm gonna apologize for, and he goes like, he thinks he's gonna apologize for them getting fired. He goes, I'm gonna apologize for whooping your ass, and it's like, all right, that's fucking great. I love that. The banter between those two is phenomenal. But
no, that's a great movie.
85%. Fucking get out there and see it. If you haven't watched the other ones, I mean, 8 and 9 don't really do anything for you.
You don't really need to, honestly.
After rewatching them all, 7 is like the last one where like the tie-in like makes sense, you know. And then 8 was just kind of like, what are we doing? And 9 was like, okay, we're in space. And then like I said though, but both of them had a couple scenes that lead you into 10, and like everything is coming full circle. And I never thought that
I would say they don't really relate that much, but they are important to show Cypher's dynamic.
Right.
Yeah.
Because again, she literally. But also, they show the scene too. They show why Dom hates her. It's because Dom fucking killed his baby mama. So it's like, all right.
Yeah. But that was our Fast X review, Fast 10. We'll be back on Tuesday with American Hustle. Thank you, Spencer, for joining us again.
Yes, thank you,
Last time we
Spencer.
had you on was just a couple weeks ago for the Fresh Dispatch. I can't talk.
French
now. My voice is
Dispatch.
gone. Thank you.
French Dispatch.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I sounded like nasally saying it, but go listen to that episode too if you haven't. That's a great movie.
Yeah,
Also,
but this,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just
You
gonna
more to
say
add?
the second that Josh was like, "Yeah, we're totally doing Fast 10," I was like, "All right, we got to make sure Spencer's on that because I don't know anyone
Oh,
else
yeah.
that's seen these movies as much as me."
No, we appreciate you going to see it by yourself, obviously, for the
real one, real
podcast, of
one.
course. Yeah.
Talking about that, but last thoughts here. Like Brian said, just my last plea to get people to watch this. There is very few movies that I would go to the theaters at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday by myself to see. And I am very happy that I did this one.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a great watch. It's a good time. I was having a great time at 10 a.m. drinking a coffee in the movie theater watching Fast 10. It was fantastic.
No, hell yeah, and we appreciate that, and obviously, you know, like we mentioned earlier, go check out Brian's Corner too. Spencer will definitely be on there soon.
Yeah, like I said,
by
you
now,
how much we
that
were
first episode
talking
should be up there.
about this saga, so don't be surprised if we do just rattle off some of the best and outlandish shit that they do in Fast and Furious.
Yeah, but thank
I'm
you,
there for it.
Spencer, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, peace out,
Thank you, boys. I appreciate you.
See you.
Yeah.